The archaeological site on Kepler 442b had been abandoned for 3 standard months when Alice Knox arrived. The Galactic Preservation Council had deemed it a dead end, another lifeless ruin from a civilization that had collapsed before humanity had even discovered fire. The 17 other species on the survey team had already moved on to more promising sites across the sector. Alice stood alone in the excavation pit, her breath fogging the faceplate of her environmental suit. The planet's thin atmosphere carried a perpetual twilight, casting long shadows across the geometric structures that jutted from the rust-colored soil like broken teeth. At the center of it all sat the object that had consumed her thoughts for weeks, a perfect sphere of obsidian, 3 meters in diameter, suspended in a cradle of crystalline supports. The Valaxians had run every scan known to their species. The Korthani had subjected it to gravitational analysis. The synthetic minds of the collective had attempted digital interface for 48 hours straight. Nothing. The sphere absorbed all energy directed at it and offered nothing in return. Just smooth black silence. But Alice had noticed something the others hadn't, or perhaps couldn't. The crystalline cradle wasn't just a support structure. It was inscribed with patterns that matched no known language in the galactic database, yet something about them felt almost familiar. She had spent nights comparing them to archives from Earth, diving deep into anthropological records that most spacers considered quaint historical curiosities. And then she had found it. Not a match, but an echo. The spirals and angles resembled proto-cuneiform, the earliest human writing system developed in ancient Mesopotamia. But that was impossible. This structure predated human civilization by thousands of years. Alice approached the sphere slowly, her gloved hand extended. The rest of the team had tried everything except the simplest option. They had approached it as a technology to be analyzed, a puzzle to be solved through science alone. But what if it was something else? What if it was waiting for something more fundamental? She pressed her palm against the obsidian surface. It was warm. For 12,000 years, the sphere had remained cold and inert. Now heat radiated through her glove, spreading up her arm. Alice gasped but didn't pull away. The surface began to ripple like liquid shadow, patterns of light emerging from within its depths. Not the harsh blue-white of galactic standard technology, but warm amber and gold, like firelight on cave walls. Then it spoke, not in sound but directly into her mind. Images flooded her consciousness. Beings that looked nothing like humans with crystalline exoskeletons and bodies that shifted between states of matter. They were the architects, and they had seeded the galaxy with knowledge vaults before their civilization collapsed into entropy. But these vaults were locked, keyed to something specific. "Why me?" Alice whispered. "Why now?" The answer came in waves of understanding rather than words. The architects had known they were dying. They had spent their final centuries traveling the galaxy, studying every form of intelligence they encountered. Most species, they found, reached for the stars through collective effort, hive minds or networked consciousness. They were efficient, logical, unified. But then the architects had found Earth. They had watched early humans scattered, individualistic, often in conflict with their own kind. By every metric the architects understood, humanity should have destroyed itself before reaching space. Yet there was something in human consciousness that fascinated them. The ability to hold contradictions, to be simultaneously rational and irrational, to create beauty in the face of horror. The architects had encoded their vaults with a specific lock. They would only open for a species that carried what they called the paradox frequency. A pattern of thought that embraced both logic and chaos. Science and art, unity and individuality. Humans, for all their flaws, embodied this frequency in every neuron. The sphere pulsed, and suddenly Alice wasn't alone in her mind. She felt the presence of the architects, or what remained of them, memories preserved in quantum matrices, waiting across 12 millennia for someone who could understand. "We remember," the sphere said, and the words carried the weight of eons. "We remember the first time you painted on cave walls. We remember the first time you looked up at stars you could not reach and decided to reach anyway. We remember every war you fought and every peace you built. We remember because we saw in you what we had lost, the ability to change, to adapt, to be beautifully, chaotically alive." The vault began to open. Knowledge streamed into Alice's consciousness, not overwhelming but measured like a gift given with care. stellar engineering techniques that could turn dead worlds into gardens, medical technologies that could heal injuries thought permanent, methods of energy generation that would make scarcity obsolete, and more. Art, philosophy, the collected wisdom of a civilization that had watched the universe evolve. But there was a warning too. The architects had died not from external threat but from internal stagnation. They had become too perfect, too unified, too efficient. They had optimized the chaos out of their existence and, in doing so, had lost the ability to grow. Do not become us, the sphere urged. Keep your contradictions. Keep your messy, inefficient, beautiful humanity. The galaxy needs it. Alice pulled her hand away, tears streaming down her face. The sphere remained active now, its light steady and warm. She activated her comm unit. "Nox to orbital station," she said, her voice shaking. "You need to send everyone back down here. All species, all teams. The vault has opened." "How?" came the confused reply from the Korthani coordinator. "Our scans showed." "It wasn't waiting for your scans," Alice interrupted, a smile breaking through her tears. "It was waiting for someone to say hello." As she waited for the teams to return, Alice sat beside the sphere, her hand resting on its warm surface. 12,000 years of silence broken by a simple human touch. The architects had scattered their vaults across the galaxy, each one waiting for humanity to find it, to prove that their faith in this strange, contradictory species had been warranted. Alice Knox, archaeologist from Earth, had just changed the galaxy forever. And she had done it not through superior technology or advanced algorithms, but through the most human of actions, reaching out to touch the unknown, hoping for connection in the vast dark. The Obsidian sphere pulsed with golden light, and deep within its quantum matrices the memories of the architects smiled.